This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And for the 100th time ever, we are live. For real this time. I know what you're thinking. Wow, that transition from the static logo to my shirt was so clean cut. Not really, but welcome to the 100th episode of the Reviewing Network Live. We are literally live from the Reviewing Network studios to the point where I am coming on screen for you folks watching this on YouTube, and for those of you watching this later on the Reviewing Network Live, it'll be the audio version. So basically, this whole thing won't even make sense to you if you're just watching it on the audio, in the audio portion of it, but over on the other channel. But I brought this over to the main channel today because this is a milestone episode. This is our 100th episode, and I figured why not do something a little bit different today. And I had some ideas of what to do. I was going to do a literal live YouTube video streaming on YouTube, but couldn't figure out how to do it in time. I ran out of time to put that together, so this is about as close as you're going to get to this one. I'll have something for when we get to the 200th episode in about 2 years' time. I hope, but we make it that far. But 100 episodes of the Reviewing Network Live. It's hard to believe we've come so far in the last 2 years. And I hope you folks out there have been enjoying these videos as much as I've enjoyed making them. And if you didn't see the thing in the beginning, this is essentially a weekly stream of consciousness conversation where we talk about some of the big news stories from the past week in the world of Hollywood. And there are certainly a lot of stories we got here this week. I've got them all set up on my page here, so you'll see them on the screen as I talk about them. You're going to actually see it as I'm giving you the story and reading them to you as the show develops. So strap yourself in. Hope you're enjoying this, and if you like this, go ahead and head over to the Reviewing Network Live YouTube channel, hit the like and subscribe button. We would really appreciate it if you did. So with all that said, let's get to where we usually start off with our show, and that is, of course, the weekend box office. And that's what I mean by you'll see me literally reading and covering the stories here, because this is what I usually do when I'm reading the stories to you guys. And as you can see, the weekend box office, not really much of a shocker what the #1 movie is, but looking at number 5, we start off with last week's new release, The Smurfs, which fell off to 51.2% from last week. $5.4 million, bringing its 2-week total to $22.8 million, if you round that up to that 22.787 to round it up to $22.8 million. Cost $58 million to make, and this is and it's already doing better internationally, as you can see. So it has made back its budget of $58 million, $69 million worldwide after 2 weeks. Not really much of a shocker, since the Smurfs usually find more success overseas anyway, but I just wish it would have been a better movie. I mean, they've had 5 attempts to make a Smurfs movie, and they have failed every single time. We just had a movie this weekend that had 5 different film attempts, and they finally got it right. But not the Smurfs. No, not these fuckers right here. This ChatGPT written script, AI, that type of stuff. Just one of the many things wrong with that movie. I've delved into that long enough. So everything else here you kind of pretty much have heard my thoughts on. Number 4, moving actually back up a spot, F1 the movie. $6.2 million, dropping 37.2% from last week, bringing its 5-week total now to $165.5 million, $165.6 if you want to round up there, bringing its worldwide total to over $500 million worldwide. And for Apple, this was a film that cost between $200 and $300 million, so it's actually one of their biggest successes they've had since starting their studios up. So again, I wish the movie was better, but then again, I would also say the same thing of the number 3 film this week, Jurassic World Rebirth. Still hanging in there, $13 million, dropping 45.2% from last week. Crossed the $300 million mark, $301.5 million after 4 weeks. If you count the worldwide totals, it's up to $718.3 million worldwide. It's definitely not as strong as some of the other Jurassic World movies, but still doing well enough to be right up there with Jurassic World, which is up at 600, which I think it ended at around 655, I think it was. There was another I think also Jurassic Park, too. It was at 357 domestically, if I remember correctly. So it's right up there. It is up there with some of the higher grossing Jurassic World movies, but at the same time, it still wasn't a great movie overall. But I digress. Number 2, finally falling off from number 1 this week, Superman, which brought in $24.9 million, had a 57.5% drop-off, which was not surprising considering what's opening up this weekend. $289.5 million is domestically, if you count the worldwide numbers, just crossing the $500 million mark. It's not doing great business internationally, but at the same time, it's still doing very well for Warner Brothers. It's still a very successful film. And there's a lot of people that keep egging the film because it's not doing well overseas. You don't need overseas box office to really sustain a movie unless you're the Smurfs. I mean, Superman's doing more than well enough here in the States where I don't think it really matters how well it does internationally. They have proven that they have successfully brought Superman back into the fold, and as you'll see with the number 1 movie, even the number 1 movie had some questionable things about it that will play a part in the box office in general. But the number 1 movie this week, not really much of a shocker, Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four: First Steps. Marvel finally getting a chance to bring the Fantastic Four into the MCU, and people responded. $118 million, brought in an average of 28,600, as you can see. And if you count the worldwide totals, it's just over $200 million, $218 million. Now, here's the kicker. Look at the numbers here at the bottom. On Friday, it had an opening of $57 million for opening day. That's including the preview screenings on Thursday night. And then it dropped to $33.2 million, dropping 41% on Saturday, which is actually unusual for family films. And keep in mind, this is technically a family film, pretty much. I mean, the Fantastic Four are family in this. But it did rebound a little bit on Sunday to $27.8 million, which is usually the opposite way. Usually, Saturday is the day where it dips a little bit, and then Sunday Sunday's when it kind of has its big drop-off day. But let's take a look at Superman. I'm kind of curious of what the daily numbers for that were. 56.1 million on Friday, then 33% on Saturday. It's opening Saturday, and then 16.8% on Sunday. So like I said, it's usually the other way around, and that's why it's actually kind of a lower box office than most people expected it. But it cost $200 million to make. I guarantee you it's not going to have this massive drop-off that a movie like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania or Captain America: Brave New World did, but audiences are responding to it. And more importantly, with the Fantastic Four and Superman, both Disney and Warner Brothers accomplished what they needed to do with those franchises. They needed to rebound them. They needed to get them back on track and generally more to, entertain the audiences more. And these two have been more successful than some of the more recent properties these companies have done. I mean, the Fantastic Four is doing a whole lot better than Thunderbolts and Captain America is doing. Superman has done a lot better than some of the other movies in the DCEU did. Things are going good right now for these two, and I think Fantastic Four will continue to do well in the coming weeks without any major competition in terms of family films and blockbusters in general. Although next weekend we do have The Bad Guys 2 and The Naked Gun, which I'm really curious to see how both of those movies are going to do. The Bad Guys, of course, was a big success a couple years ago, and then The Naked Gun has the pretty good marketing campaign around it with Liam Neeson now stepping into the role of Frank Drebin Jr., the son of Frank Drebin, of course, Leslie Nielsen in the original film. I love the Naked Gun movies. I've talked about it before in videos on the main channel where I talk about how, the Naked Gun I consider to be one of the greatest comedy of all time. I mean, those movies are the definition of great spoof comedy in general. And so far, it seems like the marketing for this has done a good job of basically getting the basics down on what the Naked Gun is all about. The comedy looks very funny. I'm really excited to check this movie out. It comes out on Friday, so I'm curious to see how that's going to do. I would like to think that the Naked Gun might open a little bit lower than the Bad Guys 2, but there's a possibility that Naked Gun could open above Bad Guys 2, honestly. Could possibly go one of two ways, but it's a pretty good way to start the month of August. August overall has got some pretty good movies to look forward to. I mean, not only that, but then after that, as you look down here, we got Weapons coming out in a couple weeks. and also Freakier Friday, which will probably do well, but it will probably be another pointless sequel. Let's see what else is coming here. If you're looking at the list here, then August 15th, you got Nobody 2, which that should be a ton of fun to watch. I mean, the trailer for that was pretty good. Spike Lee's latest film comes out, Highest to Lowest, with Denzel Washington. Of course, I'm going to be looking forward to that. I love Spike Lee's movies. We got Americana opening up, and then on August 22nd, Niza 2, which is actually the biggest animated film of the year so far worldwide. That's getting a wide release here in the States. The latest film from Ethan Coen, Honey Don't, comes out on that same day. And then it doesn't show August 29th. Hold on a sec. So you're getting to see the behind the scenes. You're getting to see the behind the scenes action of how I do this every week. So August 29th is probably the lowest of the weeks, but you still get some interesting stuff like The Roses. I'm kind of curious about the remake of War of the Roses. Jaws is getting a re-release that weekend for its 50th anniversary. And then you have The Toxic Avenger, of course, but then you also have this movie that literally looks like a film that is a fake movie, Grand Prix of Europe. I keep seeing the poster for this at my movie theater, and I always look at it and think to myself, that's got to be a fake movie. But nope, it's got some names in it, not notable names, but you also have Darren Aronofsky's latest film, Caught Stealing, which also comes out on the same day. So August overall is looking a lot better than you would expect it to, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out in general. So that's the weekend box office. A little bit smaller, shorter than usual, but let's go ahead and get to the stories. And I've got them all up here, so let's get right to it. And as you can see, we're starting right off with the story that we've been following for about the last couple of weeks now. Trey Parker and Matt Stone and the South Park issue with Paramount. Last week we didn't know exactly what was going to happen with South Park as the show was set to come back this past week. And I said last week there was a possibility that if we didn't hear anything by Monday or Tuesday, the season premiere was probably going to get pushed back again. But then this was on, I believe this was on Wednesday, yeah, when they first announced this. It actually was announced on Monday, but then the official details came out on Wednesday. And essentially, they made a deal. Paramount Inc., as you can see on the Hollywood Reporter, Paramount Inc.'s new deal with Creators Library moving to the South Park. Let me rephrase that again. South Park lives. Paramount Inc.'s new deal with Creators Library moving to Paramount Plus. There we go. Now let's read this article here. South Park has been saved just hours before the Comedy Central show's Season 27 premiere on July 23rd, a premiere that had already been pushed back due to the uncertainty of a new deal. Paramount and Park Country, the venture creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker run, which produces the show, have reached a new deal. The agreement means that South Park's new season will debut as scheduled. The deal runs for 5 years and encompasses 50 new episodes of the show to debut on Comedy Central. In addition, the companies have inked an expansive new streaming partnership via their venture South Park Digital Studios that will bring South Park's library to Paramount Plus in both the United States, where HBO Max has held the rights for years, and globally. New episodes will also stream on Paramount Plus in the US the day after they air on Comedy Central under the pact. A source pegged the value of the deal at about $1.5 billion. Trey and I and the whole South Park crew are grateful for this extension and this deal. We want to thank Paramount co-CEO and president of Showtime MTV Entertainment Chris McCarthy and COO Key Hills Edgar for years of great partnership and look forward to continuing to make South Park for the next 5 years, said Stone. Yeah, we'll get to this guy in a minute because something happened shortly after with Paramount that basically involves him in it, but we'll get to that in just a second. But at Parker, we are grateful for this opportunity and deeply honored by the trust placed in us. This is about more than a contract. It's about our commitment to this organization, our teammates, and our fans. We're focused on building something special and doing whatever it takes to bring championships to this city. Streaming deals for the show expired on June 23rd, forcing an extension of a domestic deal with Warner Bros. Discovery to keep it on HBO Max for now. Earlier this month, Paramount Plus's international licenses to stream episodes of the long-running animated series expired, which led to the streamer pulling the series from its global service. Park County has an unusual arrangement with Paramount, with the production company receives about 50% of all streaming revenue, even as Paramount retains ownership of the show. Now here's the kicker. The deal also comes after a heated but quiet behind-the-scenes legal dispute between Park County, Paramount Global, and Skydance, which is set to assume control of Paramount in the coming weeks, which in just a little bit will show that was actually a couple of days. It was a dispute that had some sources concerned about the show's future. Parker and Stone were seeking an extension of their current first-look deal with the company, with a source pegged at being worth about $150 million per year during its 6-year term. That agreement had a couple years left, but the creators were seeking an early extension that could coincide with the streaming agreement. However, Skydance leadership, including CEO David Ellison and incoming president Jeff Shell, had approval rights on any deals that met a certain threshold, and the Park County deal fit that bill. Earlier this month, The Hollywood Reporter learned that Park County believed it had struck a basic framework of a new 10-year, $3 billion deal, roughly 3 times the value of the last agreement. Skydance, however, was reluctant to sign off on a deal that long fearing how the streaming market could change by then. At $1.5 billion, the new deal will be worth about $300 million per year, albeit with the shorter time frame that Skydance had been pushing for. While $1.5 billion is an extraordinary high number for what amounts to 50 episodes of TV, a source says the overall deal also functions as an advance on the streaming revenue, helping to explain the cost. So, this happened, and it's a good thing that it did happen, because as soon as you saw the episode, if you know the episode that aired this week, let's just say that I guarantee you that if they had not gotten a deal down by Wednesday, the show would have been pushed back, because what they did on Wednesday was pretty intense, but also pretty freaking hilarious to watch. In another article on The Hollywood Reporter, if you don't know what happened, I'll just give you kind of a rundown here. South Park returned to television Wednesday after a nearly 2.5-year hiatus, kicking its 27th season off with a hilarious and, as expected, controversial premiere, with the show taking on President Donald Trump depicting himself in bed with series regular Satan. So essentially, they replaced Saddam Hussein with our current commander-in-chief. And that's enough to make me say, bravo. Bravo, South Park. You are back, baby. Not to say that South Park has really been gone, but the last couple seasons have been, not as good as they usually have been, but man, what a way to start the season off here. But it only gets better. Government censorship, the death of wokeness, ChatGPT, and religion in the nation's public schools were the main topics of the season premiere. After Cartman learns of the government's cancellation of NPR, where liberals bitch and whine about stuff, an assembly is called by series favorite PC principal, who introduces a guest, Jesus Christ. Before the first act break, the town's parents are riding, and a cutout of President Trump turns up. The plot shifts to the White House as a president at odds with Canada and lying naked in the bed with Satan, with his small penis on full display. The long-awaited premiere episode, which had been held back in a weeks-long delay as a new deal for the show was ironed out, follows Trump as he finds himself in crisis with his South Park supporters turn on him over Jesus entering the education system. After being depicted shimmying through a White House lawn party, the president finds himself on a call with Randy Marsh, Stan's dad, which concludes with Trump threatening to sue the people of South Park for $5 billion. Trump is back in bed with Satan in the following scene, where the devil confronts the president about rumors that his name appears on the notorious Epstein list. And by the end of the episode, Paramount and the cancellation of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert come up as Jesus pleads with the people of South Park not to mess around with Trump. The town settles Trump's lawsuit for $3.5 million, but must also produce pro-Trump public service announcements, as well as a disturbing NSFW deepfake ad, which gives Trump's teeny tiny manhood its close-up. I'm not going to show it on here, but if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, like I said, man, this was South Park at its coldest, but also its most hilarious. And I just love how Trey Parker, after this whole thing at Comic-Con, when he was asked about how the White House was taking this, because the White House, of course, responded to this, because, heaven forbid, they got they don't have any more important things to do right now, except for this. But he just simply said, "We're sorry." And not in the way like in the episode where the Exxon Valdez oil spill happens, and you see the guy, the owner of Exxon, going like, "We're sorry," like that type, not that type of a thing. But that would have been hilarious if he did that. But it just basically shows that was Trey Parker and Matt Stone basically saying, "Yeah, try to cancel us now, because now we have this deal in place, and if you try to take us out of there, we're gonna sue your asses," pretty much. Like, I love the fact that they did that. I love the fact that they went with this. I mean, just really, really funny stuff, man. And, you know, it was just something where it's just like, we needed this to happen, man. This South Park needed to be back so badly. And now the question is, what do you do from this point going forward if you're South Park? I'm really curious to see what the next episode's going to do. Do they continue on this path? Do they keep going? Do they keep shaking? Do they keep rattling the cages, if you will, of what they can do? Or do they try to do something else? Do they just go back to something else, doing something completely different again? I don't know, but it makes me very curious to watch the next episode coming up here. And, yeah, good job, Trey and Matt. Good job, Trey and Matt, for screwing over Skydance and basically screwing over the Commander-in-Chief in a way that is absolutely friggin' hilarious. But surely that will have an effect on the Skydance Paramount merger, and quite literally it didn't, because as you're going to see from our next story, the merger pretty much went through not but a day after that episode aired. So the episode of South Park had nothing to do with that. But as you can see, this is from Deadline Hollywood, and it says here that the FCC on Thursday finally signed off on the marriage of Skydance Media and Paramount Global. The $8.4 billion deal has faced myriad challenges on its way to the finish line, but will be made official in the coming days by the companies. No shareholder vote or other approvals are required. With the FCC's blessing, the transaction will reshape the media landscape and recast David Ellison, chairman and CEO of the combined companies, as a top Hollywood power player. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story for you. If your name is David, you are bound to be a scumbag Hollywood power player. Take a look at what happened at Warner Brothers. You know, this is just the world we live in now, unfortunately. Americans no longer trust the legacy national news media to report fully accurate and fairly. It's time for a change, says FCC Brendan Carr, who's, of course, Republican, by the way, so keep that in mind. This is why I welcome Skydance's commitment to make significant changes at the once-storied CBS broadcast network. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but you get the idea that the merger went through, so basically that means that the drama is over. This is now officially a merger that's made for the ages, and of course, as you can see right here, Chris McCarthy, the man who was behind that South Park deal, is moving on after the completion of this acquisition and moving on to another thing in general. He's been with the company for 22 years. He was there when Paramount was with Viacom still, and it's just like, yeah, after all this whole thing, like, you're looking at some of these stories here. You got the sole Democrat on the FCC delivering this blistering statement about what happened with the approval, capitulation over courage, and then you see some other stories here. I'm trying to find when this is going to get closed. Here it is. It says right here in this story, Paramount Global's co-CEOs told employees Friday they expect an August 7th closing date for the company's merger with Skydance, praising staffers' efforts during the grueling process of getting the deal done. Yeah, praise their efforts only for you to fire them in the next couple months, because we know that's what's going to happen from this point forward. So yeah, needless to say, the Paramount-Skydance merger is now officially a go-ahead, and boy, my openings for the Superman riffs are now dated as all hell, because I thought Paramount and Skydance merging together wouldn't be that bad, but lo and behold, look at what has happened in just the last month alone. So anyway, not much more to say about this one per se, and they do kind of run down what's possibly next for all the Paramount, for like the Paramount properties here. Let me see if I can find it. I think it was in this article here. So they show you kind of an idea of what's next here, and trying to see if there was something about. Maybe it's not in here. Maybe I'm looking. Maybe I've. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't find the article here. I thought it would be easy to find here, but I'm not seeing anything specific here about where. Because there was an article. It had the Daily Show on it. Let me see. Let me see if I type it in here. Like I said, this is the power of doing this live in front of you, so you can actually see the work I'm putting into this right now. Wait. Here it is. Here it is right here. The Daily Show's future, cable networks fade, and 6 more questions facing Paramount and Skydance post-merger. So here we go. 1, how deep will the layoffs go? They say that, it says here, staffers at Paramount already have been staggered by multiple rounds of layoffs, seeing 15% of U.S. employees trimmed, and another 3.5% let go last month. Those reductions were in pursuit of a stated goal to achieve $500 million in cost savings. And when other bidders were jockeying, okay, there's nothing really about here about how deep will they go. That kind of slim down is likely to affect a large swath of the 18,600 global employees that Paramount had at the end of 2024. So what happens to the linear cable networks? According to this, it says, as it has lost tens of millions of households due to cord cutting in recent years, Paramount's linear cable businesses have become a growing concern for investors. Now that the Skydance deal is done, the cable portfolio, consisting of brands like BET, MTV, Nickelodeon, and the Paramount Network, are likely to leave the fold in some fashion. Jeff Snell, CEO and waiting for the new entity, has been bullish on linear TV's future thanks to demands for sports. Broadcast and streaming will serve as two wait-and ends on what has been called a barbell of revenue. Prior to the proposed Skydance transaction, Paramount had been exploring selling BET as well as Showtime. Former CEO Bob Bakish's falling out with Paramount controlling shareholder Sherry Redstone led to his ouster in the spring of 2024, was caused in part of his rejection of a $3 billion offer for Showtime. The premium network wound up being merged with Paramount Plus and lost much of its original value. Despite show's optimism, Naveen Sharma, managing director at S&P Global Ratings, has warned that linear will continue to be an albatross for Paramount. Maybe Skydance will have a strategy that addresses some of that, but over the next, call it year or so, year and a half, he said in December, we're going to see a company that's going to go through a lot of upheaval because of the transaction. Will Skydance cancel The Daily Show? Jon Stewart said in a rant on Monday, I'm not going anywhere, I think. However, given Paramount's cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, quote, purely a financial decision, Daily Show staffers clearly are concerned that the Comedy Central show could be next. The show is currently on a hot streak in terms of ratings and awards nominations. Perhaps more importantly, one would imagine that if such a plan was in the works, Chris McCarthy would have a similar move to move his colleague George Cheeks, and done it before the deal was approved by the FCC. It's clear that late night is in a bad place, but one thing going for The Daily Show is other than a handful of animated shows, Comedy Central doesn't have a great deal of original programming to satisfy its parent company's carriage arrangements. Comedy Central is kind of like Muzak at this point. I think we're the only sort of life that exists on a current basis other than South Park, Stewart added. How many TV production entities will the combined company have? The merger will bring Skydance Television into the Paramount Global fold, which already includes CBS Studios, MTV Entertainment Studios, which produces all Taylor Sheridan series and Emily in Paris, and BET Studios. Some consolidation is expected, led by David Staff's CBS Studios, which absorbed Paramount TV Studios in 2024, has a distinct broadcast focus as the main supplier of CBS. Paramount Global co-CEO Cheeks, president of CBS, who is expected to stay put in the post-merger Paramount, is believed to be high on both staff and CBS Entertainment president Amy Wiesenbach, so CBS Studios is expected to carry on. It is unclear how exactly the rest of the production units will shake out, but Skydance Television president Matt Thurnell is poised for a leadership role of the combined TV banner that may carry the Paramount moniker. As for Sheridan, with Paramount Global co-CEO Chris McCarthy, who oversees MTV Entertainment Studios set to depart, one of his top lieutenants, Keith Cox, is already working closely with the prolific creator, could be his point executive. And finally, number 5, what senior exec changes are looming? A few key posts have been determined. Netflix vet Cindy Holland coming in to oversee streaming, and Skydance Chief Creative Officer Dana Strong in line to take over Paramount Pictures. Deadline is hearing a couple more changes. Sony Pictures Motion Picture Group co-president Josh Greenstein is rumored to be entering talks for a role in the new corporate hierarchy. Skydance couldn't go in talks with Greenstein, who was a close associate of Skydance CEO David Ellison until the merger was approved. Following the exit, McCarthy and Nina L. Diaz, Chief Creative Officer and President of Content for Showtime MTV Entertainment, is expected to exit also. And so there's more here. How many more? A couple more. I thought there was only 6 here, but will the relationship with Taylor Sheridan change? Even more than South Park creators Trey Parker Matt Stone, who clinched a mega deal with Paramount this week, the primary creative voice associated with Paramount Global is Sheridan. The Yellowstone creator has generated billions in value for the company, though observers both inside and out have wondered about the future of the relationship given the changing of the guard. Sheridan has been accustomed to working with large budgets, which surely will go under the microscope, as in the case anytime new owners take over. When Discovery merged with Warner Media in 2020, J.J. Abrams' lavish $250 million 500-year deal immediately became a topic. The parties wound up agreeing to a shorter 2-year deal in 2024. Any radical changes in the Sheridan universe won't come anytime soon, given that he has several years left on his current deal. But the producers would have plenty of options for new home down the line, given the aggressive spending by Amazon, Apple, and Netflix as of late. What does Cindy Holland do with Paramount Plus? One widely anticipated change would see Paramount Plus move closer together in the organization with Pluto TV, its free ad-supported sibling. Such a move would save considerable costs in many departments. Those kind of larger shifts aren't primarily what Holland is being brought in to do, plus Pluto doesn't have original programming. Holland, who teamed with Ted Sarandos to launch Netflix's original programming more than a decade ago, has already begun working behind the scenes to put together a slate. Her main mission will be going to Paramount Plus more of an identity, which has been grown to 79 million subscribers. The news, sports, and a mountain of entertainment marketing handle has been a frustratingly apt description of its uneven assortment of fare. Skydance CEO Ellison, who will take the helm of the combined company, has talked about investing in the technology behind Paramount Plus, which has had a start and stop rollout of table stakes featuring live features like autoplay trailers. As advertisers and viewers continue to flock to streaming, though a rebooted tech stack alone won't get the service where it needs to be. And last but not least, we have this question here. Could the NFL opt out of its CBS deal? Could they? Yes. Will they? Likely not. A clause in the 11-year rights deal CBS signed with the NFL in 2021 could be triggered with the merger, allowing the league to renegotiate, giving the change in control of the company. Questions have swirled about that doomsday scenario in 2024 when Commissioner Roger Goodell's ambiguous remarks on the matter seeming to add fuel to the speculation. Just this month, though, in an interview with CNBC, where he attended the Allen & Co. conference, Goodell said struck a more upbeat tone about the status quo. We've had a long relationship for CBS for decades, Goodell said. We've had a relationship outside of that with Skydance, so I don't anticipate that opting out is something that we'll see. We have a 2-year period to make that decision. I don't see that happening, but we have that option. So there you go. Just kind of gives you kind of a rundown of what we could expect here, and it'll certainly be very intriguing to see what the news holds for Paramount in the future. But yeah, this whole thing was just a clusterfuck, and you know, for the stuff that is making the company money, it'll probably get worse before it gets any better. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Daily Show ends up getting taken off. If they're going to do that to Stephen Colbert, you know they're going to do it to the Daily Show too, and just basically an attack on freedom of speech, pretty much, this whole thing. But anyway, Skydance and Paramount, congratulations, you're married. Now you can be as bitter and upset and peeved just like every other married couple out there. Plain and simple. So, alright, so let's go ahead and get out of here and move on to the next story. As you see, we're going back to the Hollywood Reporter, and as you can see, we're talking about Wonder Woman. There's a new Wonder Woman movie being made, and they're hiring a very familiar writer to the movie in general. Anna Nogueira, who has been writing some of the new DC's recent movies, such as Supergirl, as well as also Teen Titans, is now being set to take on the Wonder Woman movie. It says here, Nogueira is a favorite at the studio, where she has a blind deal and wrote next summer's Supergirl movie and is working on a live-action Teen Titans movie with Warner Brothers. Or as it says here, for the Warner Brothers. But Wonder Woman is a crown jewel of the DC universe, and along with Superman and Batman, makes up part of the trinity of its key heroes. Gal Gadot previously starred in a pair of Wonder Woman films, with 2017's Wonder Woman breaking ground for female-led superhero films and earning both acclaim, $822 million globally. She also starred in Wonder Woman 1984 and appeared in Justice League, The Flash, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. The role will be recast for the new DC universe. So really nothing else more to say about that one, except the fact that this is moving forward, and it really isn't much of a surprise in general that they're doing a new Wonder Woman movie with a new Wonder Woman, with this new DC label that they're doing with James Gunn. And now it just brings up the questions of who should take over the role of Wonder Woman. And you know, you've been hearing a lot of names out there. I think somebody mentioned Ana de Armas as a possible choice. That could be a good one. Adriana Arjona, who just got cast in the Thomas Crown Affair remake after the original actors for that movie dropped out. But yeah, so there's a possibility of who you could possibly get for Wonder Woman. I would say it's going to be one of those two. Another name I'd probably throw into the table, but I don't know how they're going to do that since she's already in Superman. I kind of would like to see Michaela Hoover, who played Cat Grant in Superman, as Wonder Woman. I think she could probably make that work. I mean, I don't know. That's just my thinking behind that one, but overall, yeah. But that's nothing else more to say about that. As you can see in the article's really not that long at giving you some stuff here. They're just telling you what's coming next. We know that Supergirl's coming out next June, and then Clayface is coming out in next September, and then we have Paradise Lost, which is something that DC Studios has been spending time developing, but it's not, the status of that clearly is unclear, as it says right there. It says the Wrap first reported the news, so there you go. That's pretty much all you need to know about that one. So on to our next story. And as the fact that Disney is moving fast and furious on the next Lilo and Stitch movie, as you'll see in this article right here, again from the Hollywood Reporter, Lilo and Stitch 2 is bringing back its original creator, Chris Sanders, to pen the script for this. As you can see, it says Disney's live-action remake is Hollywood's first billion-dollar movie of 2025. It's at $420 million as of right now, and about $3 million away from surpassing a Minecraft movie, which it probably is going to do at this point. And I, for one, will welcome that, because this was definitely the much better movie than a fucking Minecraft movie was. Hold on to your coconuts, because one of Stitch's parents is coming home. As you can see, I did not write that. That is in the article. Chris Sanders, the Wild Robot filmmaker who co-created, co-wrote, and co-directed the 2002 Lilo and Stitch movie, is in final negotiations to return to the fold and pen the script to Disney's live-action mega hit. The deal calls for Sanders, who voiced the character in both versions of the title, to only write the screenplay and not direct at this stage. Sanders is also focusing on developing the sequel to Wild Robot for DreamWorks Animation. Last week, the live-action Stitch became the first Hollywood movie of 2025 to cross the billion-dollar mark at the worldwide box office. The Hollywood Reporter reported that the movie had exceeded expectations since opening over Memorial Day thanks to families and Gen Zers who grew up on the original title. Now in theaters over 60 days domestically, Stitch opened to May 23rd to a record-breaking $183 million weekend over the 4-day holiday, helping to fuel the biggest Memorial Day weekend in history alongside Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And Stitch is only one of 2 films to surpass $400 million at the domestic box office behind Warner Brothers' Minecraft movie. Dean Fleischer Camp directed the live-action movie, written by Chris Kalani Bright. I probably butchered that name, but I think I got close. And Mike Von Ways. Jonathan Ehrlich will return to produce. It's unclear where the producers and the studios will take the story, which centers on a lowly girl who befriends a blue puppy that turns out to be an escaped alien engineered to be a weapon of mass destruction. The original movie was followed by a two direct-to-video sequel, Stitch the Movie, Stitch Has a Glitch, as well as Lilo and Stitch the Series. The new sequel will be a brand new story. So yeah, they're going to do a brand new story, and it's going to be brand new for Chris Sanders because, of course, he did not write the script for this one, and they made some radical changes in this movie. Changes that I thought, for the most part, worked. Some not so much, making Jumba the villain. I thought that was a bad call. Not having Gantu in there kind of sucks, but a lot of the stuff they did in that movie, I did really like. I liked that it was a different movie and not just a straight-up rip-off of the original film. And now the door is open for them to do whatever they want to do with this. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they took some elements from Stitch the Movie, Stitch Has a Glitch, and the Lilo and Stitch series. Let's see the other 625 experiments come down to Hawaii. I mean, there's a lot of possibility of what you can do with the story here, and having Chris Sanders back at the helm of it, I think, will play a huge part in that in general. So yeah, I'm definitely very curious to see how that one's going to play out in particular, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if we get a release date for this by the end of the year, because it seems like they're moving fast and furious on this. They want to get this out as quickly as they can. So my guess is probably summer 2027, at the latest 2028, maybe we'll get a release date for this movie, one of those 2 years, but anyway, that's that story. So let's go ahead and move on to the next story I got for you. And that's the latest update on Michael Jackson, the biopic that had been set to be released in the fall of 2025, but then there were some rumblings about potentially splitting the film up into 2 films long after the film had already finished production. And so now they have made the decision. Michael Jackson's biopic is moving to pre-summer 2026. Still as one movie, but, as the article on Deadline Hollywood says here, let's start with the beginning. Lionsgate and Universal's Michael Jackson biopic Michael is officially moving to Friday, April 24, 2026, and that's a global theatrical release. At the same time, we hear that a second movie about Jackson remains in development. So, they spent all this time talking about, making another movie because for a biopic about Michael Jackson, one would have thought that one movie wouldn't be big enough, but someone said, fuck it, we're going to try it anyway, and realized, oh shit, we actually have way too much here. Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. That's something that you should have thought of before you did all this. Like, before you made this decision to move this back so you can have more time to put this together. But as the article continues to say, we told you at CinemaCon that there was distribution plans afoot for the feature directed by Antoine Fuqua and produced by Graham King. Michael will also get a release on IMAX screens. The delay with Michael has been twofold, one being its length. There was a first cut in excess of 3.5 hours. There have also been reports that the initial cut of the movie made references to 13-year-old Jordan Chandler, who accused Jackson of molestation and who the pop singer settled with for $20 million in 1994 with no admission of guilt. While the screenplay by 3-time Oscar nominee John Logan was developed, approved by the estate, and shot to include Chandler after production wrapped, it was revealed that there was an agreement for him not to be included. Hence, the production had to go back and reapproach the material. Jackson's new nephew, Jafar Jackson, plays the King of Pop. There aren't any major studio-wide entries on April 24th at this stage, hence a great choice for Lionsgate. Michael will open in the wake of New Line, Blumhouse's Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and Amazon MGM Studios' Miramax's Liam Neeson pick 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank from director Frankie Shaw on April 17th. Michael will also precede the May 1st release of 20th Century Studios' The Devil Wears Prada 2 and Warner Brothers' Legendary's Animal Friends. This is the third time that Michael has moved. The picture was first released date was intended for April 18th of this year, then October 3rd. Oscar winner King's previous musical biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody, won 4 Oscars and grossed over $910 million worldwide at the box office. Kino Films is releasing Michael in Japan, while Universal has the rest of the world. So yeah, they're moving it, which, I mean, I thought they were moving it so they can focus on making 2 movies and not just one. And the fact that they're not doing that, and it's still going to be one movie with the second movie in development, it's just like, I mean, again, this was clearly something that they should have thought of before they literally started filming. A movie about Michael Jackson should not just be tailored to just one movie. It should be multiple movies. Like, I've always had this idea of doing like a 3-part movie. You do one film about his time with the Jackson 5. You do another film about the 80s and 90s when he was at his peak as a celebrity, and then you have the last film with the late 90s all the way up to his death, with all the trouble going on behind the scenes, all the legal issues, all the courtroom battles he had to deal with. I mean, that's what I think they should have done with something like this. But unfortunately, they just didn't do it, and this is unfortunately the direction we're at right now. So I still don't know if this is going to be any good. I think Antoine Fuqua is a great director overall, but at the same time, it's really hard for me to get excited for this with the fact that this has now been delayed for the 3rd time, and this just feels like something that they should have easily just made into multiple movies instead of just trying to condense it down into one film. I don't know. That's just my personal take on that. So that's the story with Michael Jackson. Let's go ahead and move on to our last story that we have here. Of course, San Diego Comic-Con was this week, and of course everybody has all the big... This is usually the big weekend where you hear a lot of big movie news, big television news, big news around the world of comics, toys, all that type of stuff. Certainly didn't have that big excitement like last year when Marvel was there and they were revealing all the details about what's coming to the MCU and the reveal of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. But that certainly didn't have as much of that this time around, but there were some interesting things that happened. We got a lot of details about what's coming up on Family Guy, The Simpsons, Bob's Burgers this year. We got 2 Family Guy holiday specials coming out on Hulu once again. Of course, Disney Plus is going to have some episodes this year of The Simpsons. Simpsons is going to have its 800th episode in February. That's going to be big. Bob's Burgers will celebrate 300 episodes too. It's a lot of stuff happening in the world of animation at Fox. But one of the big things that everyone was waiting to hear about was Coyote versus Acme. You know, Ketchup Entertainment saved the day, picked up the movie from Warner Brothers, and now we finally got details that the film had a big showing at Comic-Con. They had Will Forte, the director, all the people behind the film there, and we got a confirmation of a release date, and the trailer dropped. But unfortunately, I'm not going to play it here because it's a leaked trailer. They haven't officially released it. I have watched it, though, and it's... I'll just tell you this much. Fuck you, David Zaslav, for trying to hide this movie, because this thing looks absolutely incredible. This thing looks incredibly funny. This looks incredibly well done. The animation looks incredible. I mean... It just simply looks incredible, plain and simple. It's got that kind of similar animation style to the Tom and Jerry movie. Unlike the Tom and Jerry movie, where Tom and Jerry were great and the human characters were terrible, this one looks like it's going to have the good human characters, because Will Forte is playing the lawyer that's going to help Coyote try to sue the pants off of Acme. And as you see in this article here, Coyote vs. Acme debuts first footage as Will Forte reflects on salvage film. As the article says, after a very bumpy road, Coyote vs. Acme's team took to San Diego Comic-Con to celebrate the movie finally heading to the big screen and announce its forthcoming release date. I'm pretty speechless, Will Forte told the crowd about the movie landing a release from Ketchup Entertainment after being dropped by Warner Brothers. It blows my mind. You think back to the journey this movie has taken. I had kind of given up hope at a certain point, so this is amazing. And as it says right here, the first footage of Coyote vs. Acme features a montage of Wile E. Coyote's failed attempts to thwart the Roadrunner, which was set to Johnny Cash's version of the Nine Inch Nails hit Hurt, which sadly in that leaked trailer does not show up in there. So I'm assuming there's at least a minute's worth of stuff that's not from that trailer that's not online right now. But the part where the trailer does start is where Wile E. Coyote happens to see a TV commercial from attorney Kevin Avery as played by Will Forte, as he's part of a law firm, Avery, Jones, and Maltese. And get it, Tex Avery, Chuck Jones, Michael Maltese. Have you ever pulled the ripcord out of your parachute and only silverware comes out? The character says in the footage. It's not your fault. The footage led to plenty of laughs and cheers from the supportive crowd. The film's team announced that Coyote vs. Acme is set to hit theaters on August 28, 2026. Notably, no one on the panel, including cast members Eric Bauza and Martha Kelly, director Dave Green, and moderator Paul Scheer, mentioned Warner Brothers' name in discussing the project's challenging path. Forte praised Wiley as a character that never gives up, but added, the real hero of the movie is all of you guys sitting in those seats. Like Wile E. Coyote, you guys were an underdog who fought against a major corporation, and because you never gave up, this movie is now going to come out in wide global release. Later, the team screened 6 more minutes of footage, which includes co-star John Cena defending Acme in a courtroom scene. What I will prove to this jury is that this man, Wile E. Coyote, he's reckless, Cena says in the segment. A disaster involving the defensive team's evidence leads to a fiery explosion in the court. Afterwards, Forte's character gets a phone call from a mysterious source who sounds distinctively like Bugs Bunny. I think I may be able to help with Acme, the unnamed friend says. You can see it says with. I have an associate with information. And as you can see, if you see the lead trailer, you see like a shadowy figure that looks like Bugs. It looks like he's holding a carrot. So I'm assuming that he is going to be in the movie. I mean, you see the other characters, Daffy, Taz, Tweety, Granny, so Foghorn Leghorn. I wouldn't be surprised if Bugs does show up in here. The panel ends with the team debuting the movie's action-packed teaser trailer, which, like I said before, is online, but it's a leaked trailer, so basically that means it's going to probably get taken down sooner rather than later. So enjoy it while it lasts, but I will tell you, it is pretty amazing, this whole thing. Of course, James Gunn and Jeremy Slater wrote the story. James Gunn, of course, big deal right now with Superman. Written by Sammy Birch, who was just nominated for May December at the Oscars this past year. And Dave Green, who did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, is directing it. The movie looks like a ton of fun. Like I said, the animation overall looks really cool. And Wile E. Coyote in the real world, it just kind of fits. Like, here's an image that they did put out officially. Like, that's a cool looking shot right there of Wile E. sitting on the truck. In the trailer, you see the truck, like, you see like this big thread here. I guess it's like I don't know if it's supposed to be John Cena's character who's been like super transformed or something like that, but it looks like a giant robot. He like lifts the road and the cars just go catapulting up in the air, and the truck that Wiley's on is up in the air, and like I think that's going to be really cool to see when this full version of this comes out. But you see right there, that's Wiley on top of the truck, and then you see Wiley in the car with the attorney Will Forte and Lana Condor in this car that continuously gets fucked up in this movie by a rock. It shows it a couple times in the trailer. And then, of course, you have Foghorn laughing it up with John Cena in front of I'm guessing that's the Acme building there. But yeah, it just looks like a ton of fun. It looks like a movie that is pretty much the equivalent to, and one of the comments on here perfectly sums it up here, welcome back, Looney Tunes back in action. That's what this movie literally feels like when I see this stuff right here. I mean, that's a great movie. That is a good movie overall. Sadly, did not get the proper respect at the box office it deserved, but it did deserve to get more respect at the box office. But as you can see, I'm cutting off Brendan Fraser's face at the top there. But that is Brendan Fraser right there. But yeah, good movie. Really good movie. And this stuff that they showed looks pretty funny. And honestly, I can't wait to check this one out when it comes out. But even if you didn't get to go to the thing, trust me when I tell you, you can get ready for this by buying some stuff from the Comic-Con online. Like, I'm on my eBay page right now, and here we go. Come on. I had it on there, and I hovered over the other images here, so that's why the image kept changing. But you can get a T-shirt that looks like what's on the bags that they gave out. You know, the movie Acme doesn't want you to see, Coyote versus Acme. You can get one as low as $9.99, and it's available in different sizes, but if you go to like 4 or 5X, price jumps up to $25.99, which overall isn't a bad deal overall, but yeah, there you go. You can get one of those shirts, get ready for the big new release next year. But there's also, let me see if I can find the bags. You can also get one of these. These were tote bags they were giving out at the event for Coyote versus Acme, and I was lucky enough to grab this almost immediately as soon as I saw it online. Just like, oh, I gotta have this, and I paid about $20 for it, so it should be coming in the mail within the next couple of days. So, but hey, you can go online and you can get it as low as $15.99 on this one. Let's see if it's cheaper anywhere else. There's one for $25, $30. Here's a starting bid one for $10 from somebody, I guess, that was at the thing. And that's a great thing about going on the eBay and Mercari. You can usually find stuff on here. I always find these things in these videos. Like, I know Cold Duder does these videos where he goes to Comic-Con on Wednesday night and shows off all the stuff that they're giving away. And I always find some stuff there that's just like, I gotta have this. So I go online immediately to find it. Like, I found the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run poster from Comic-Con 2019 because of that video. And if you want to, the Hulu has those animation bags with all the characters from King of the Hill, The Simpsons, Family Guy, all that stuff. If you want that, you can get this on there too, and you don't even need to pay all that much for it. I mean, here's one right here. They have that one for $14.99. You got all the characters from The Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, American Dad, Family Guy, Futurama, King of the Hill, Solar Opposites. You can get one of those for as low as $15, and then they had this other one too for $28, but that includes like the book inside of it, and has this bag here. It also features a lot of the characters from all the shows I mentioned. But yeah, these are really cool. These are actually really cool things to find out there. Hopefully I'll find one of these when I go to Steel City Con in a couple of weeks. Sometimes you'll find one of them there. More times than not, they won't be there. But yeah, if you want, look online on eBay and all that. Actually, here's one for only $10, which, you know what, I might actually jump on this one. So sorry, folks out there, but yeah, I might get this one after I'm done with this whole thing. But really, that's all I wanted to tell you about Coyote vs. Acme, is that we're finally getting a release date for it. It's coming out on August 28th, 2026, and I, for one, can't wait to check it out, just like a lot of you people out there are too. So there you go. That's the story on Coyote vs. Acme, and with all that said, let's go ahead and take a look at some recommendations for the weekend, then we can get on out of here. So if you ever wonder where I get my recommendations for the week at, simply go to Blu-ray.com. Let me go to the top here to show you. Blu-ray.com. Yeah, I thought I could get it there, but there you go. Blu-ray.com. And you go on here, and you can figure out what movies are coming out on specific dates. And right now Amazon's new release pre-order page is not working, so this is a good place to go to if you want to see what's coming out, what new things are on their way this weekend, if you want to get some new titles. And this week's new titles, of course, the big one's going to be Thunderbolts, that right there is the Walmart exclusive O-ring cover. There's the regular Blu-ray, there's the Steelbook for it, and then there's the 4K. And I am getting these in the mail within the next couple of days. I know that because it's coming this time around. I did check it before I started recording this, but another one I'm looking forward to checking out right here, The Phoenician Scheme, Wes Anderson's latest film. I love me some Wes Anderson movies. Most people have a problem with them because they all seem very similar to one another, but unless you're a big Wes Anderson fan like I am, you're probably not going to like this new movie, I've heard, but I love Wes Anderson's movies. The trailer for this was actually really funny. I saw the trailer for this, and I was laughing pretty good on this one, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out. Hopefully I can find it at a good price this week. In terms of other titles, nobody is getting a nice-looking steelbook in time for the release of the new movie coming out on August 15th. This nice-looking slip-cut steelbook here. I don't think it's ever been released on 4K before. I could be wrong on that, don't quote me on that, but Universal tends to not release all their titles on 4K, except for like their big blockbuster titles. Like I know it took a while for like Abigail to get a Blu-ray, a 4K release, and also Last Voyage of the Demeter, but I'd have to double check it, but nobody's definitely a movie. This is one I definitely would like to upgrade to get a steelbook for, because I'm looking forward to the new movie so much. Looking at some other titles this week, a lot of catalog titles, it seems like, from Warner Brothers. I don't know why they're re-releasing some of these, but we got Dolphin Tale and Dolphin Tale 2, This Is Where I Leave You, Hangover 3, Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, Generation Kill, Where the Wild Things Are, The Invention of Lying, Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay, Speed Racer, Music and Lyrics, Ocean's 12, John Q. I'm kind of curious of what the difference is here. It doesn't really say. It just says Warner Brothers, so got me there. Nope, don't click that. There we go. We got Detroit Rock City coming out. I think that's just a regular Warner Brothers title. Dirty Work is coming out on 4K. I'm guessing that's the non-special Vinegar Syndrome edition. I'll show you the copy I have in just a second here, because it's different than this one here. But you got Billy Madison coming out on 4K through Kino Lorber. Ace Ventura is getting a nice 4K release through Shout Factory. We have Jade, if anyone's wanted to watch that terrible movie. Let's see, Under Siege, Lethal Weapon 2. Again, just catalog titles. The Golden Child's getting a regular era release. And I believe that's about it in terms of like big recommendations for this week. I think the big ones, like I said, Thunderbolts, and if you're looking for some catalog titles, Nobody is really a really good movie that deserves some attention. So does Dirty Work, and also what was the other one? Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which I had those recommendations in my talking about the movies episode yesterday. So there you go. Those are some of the big new releases for this week in particular, and that is going to put an end to this particular episode of the Reviewing Network Live. Yeah, and in case you were wondering, that's the version I got from Vinegar Syndrome, and yeah, it's a very interesting cover to say the least. But this is a really nice set. I talked about this before in a recent movie stop episode. Just really cool. A lot of homages to like stuff from the movie. The fish scene, one of the funniest scenes in the movie. But if I'm taking a guess, I'm saying that this version that's coming out on Tuesday is simply just this version, just this one without the special stuff in here. No booklet, no nothing. But either way, it's still a great movie worth checking out. It's a movie that I love to death. One of my favorite comedies from the 90s. Just a terrific, terrific film. Back inside of his container. There you go. That's dirty work for you. So, with all that said, thank you for joining me literally in person this time around for this 100th episode of the Reviewing Network Live. Hopefully this episode got you people involved that haven't seen the show before, more invested into checking this out here. But if you did enjoy this and want to see more of them, go over to the Reviewing Network Live, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also don't forget to check out some of the last episodes we did on with our playlist, as well as the last episode I did last week. And thank you for joining me on this journey for 100 episodes. And I don't have a glass of wine right now, but just pretend this Diet Pepsi is a glass of wine, as I say. Cheers to 100 episodes, and here's to many, many more. So, thank you very much for joining me on this journey, and I will see you guys next Sunday with another all-new episode as we begin the next 100 episodes of the Reviewing Network Live. So, with all that said, thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you guys next time. And until then, we are out.